pattern instructions for a Moreland Valance, the buffet pattern instructions, have you stitching across the top around, flipping right side out, and then mounting on a rod with rings. The variation we'll do today is a board mount Moreland Valance. That involves cutting the pattern to include a board mount allowance. And they recommend in the instructions to cut 2 1/4 inches above the other cut line and take it straight across to the first pleat point. So that's what we've done. A few other tips for board mounting include, one, square up your cascades and create a board line, a square board line, so that when we go to mount the cascade, it is, we're not fussing with trying to adjust whether it's falling plumb and square to the top. So I've got a finished length of 23 that I'm after, so I'll lay it down on the grid, go up to 23, making sure that I'm following the grid. I'll get my square marking right at the 23 inches. And if I've done my pattern correctly, that 23 inches is about 1.5 inches down from the top. Okay, so I've got a nice dark line that is perfectly square to the low point of my cascade. Next, I would do the same and mark my board line across the top of the other part of the treatment, 1.5 inches down. That's giving me the drop length I want in the cascade, and carrying it all the way over. I like to make this line nice and dark right here at the return, because that will help me mount more easily. The other thing I do to prep is the securing pins that I put in the cascades and any folded parts of the treatment. I put below that board line, because if I put them up in the board line and then pull the board line over to the top of the board, pull that allowance over the top of the board, what happens is it then hikes up and changes the positions of your folds. Whereas if you pin below your fold line, and then when you put it on the board, allow those layers to separate, that will keep the cascade hanging the way you intended. There's our board. This is a 2 1/2 inch return. And so it's cut on a 1x3. And I like to staple 5/32 medium weight welt cord. This is product WC10 from Rolly Company. It has a really nice firmness to it, and it creates a great lip for underneath the board mounted treatments. So this is a standard in my workroom. We always staple this lip of welt cord underneath. And then another tip I found helpful is double stick tape. So right behind the welt cord, this is not a necessary step, but when you're managing the treatment and putting it up here as you're trying to manipulate it and staple it at the same time, having that double stick tape is essentially like having another pair of hands. Let's start with the left cascade. My purple mark at the top of the board, pull this around, and I'm going to keep those layers together and let them separate as they fold to the top of the board. One staple to secure it while I play around with the other part, because I might want to adjust where this fold falls. Now this part of the Moreland has a pleat. I'll manage that up on the board. So here's my return. It's about finding the location of that purple mark. And then letting the layer separate as it goes above. And I think I'm going to want to secure it at least at the corner so as I'm manipulating it doesn't fall off. That looks good. I'll put one more. And now I can play with these folds. That welt cord provides a really nice lip for a dust cap to nest under. So now I can take my scrap piece of lining. Normally I would use face fabric, but we're all out of face fabric, so my next best bet is scrap of the lining. Put at one end, pull across. Nice and tight. Let's that out. And nest the cardboard tack strip right up against that welt cord. And even in these areas where there's a lot of bulk, it provides a great spot, and right where I am. Typically I use either 3/8 inch or 1/2 inch staples in the steam gun. This tube is not that bulky, so I can get away with the 3/8. And I keep the 9/16 in there for really bulky treatment. And I'll cut off so that I only have about 1 inch hanging over. And I like to make it so when this folds back, I can tuck that under and that will reach to the bottom of the back side of the board. I put 2 staples on top and then the rest of the staples around the back side. These staples on the back side will be completely hidden once the treatment is installed in the brackets. Angling this fold to the inside of the board is important because then if you do that and you stretch it square, you won't have any excess in the back fold here. You can barely see the 2 staples. And then we can remove the pins and allow the cascades to hang freely. And we have a rosette, which we can add by using a tag gun and just shooting through and attaching it to the cascade or the swag.